There is a quiet moment that happens for many people sometime in their late 20s or 30s. It is not dramatic. There is no crisis, no missed payment, no phone call from the bank. It usually happens on an ordinary evening. The laptop is open, a banking app refreshes, a balance goes down. And the feeling is strange. Not relief, not pride, just a dull sense that something still isn't moving. The debt is shrinking. The numbers are technically improving, but life feels just as tight as before. Rent still claims the same space in the month, groceries still require attention, unexpected costs still sting. There is no sense of breathing room. What makes this moment uncomfortable is not the debt itself. It's the realization that doing what you were told was responsible hasn't created calm. There was a promise implied somewhere along the way that paying off debt would feel like progress, that sacrifice would eventually unlock stability, that discipline would create freedom. Instead, there is a quiet suspicion forming. Not that debt is good, not that paying it off is wrong, but that something about the order of operations might be off. That maybe, just maybe, focusing aggressively on eliminating debt without context can sometimes make people financially weaker, not stronger. Not poorer on paper, but poorer in options, poorer in flexibility, poorer in margin. This video is not about avoiding responsibility, and it is not about encouraging debt. It is about understanding why, for a large number of normal households, paying off debt can quietly slow financial progress, even when everything is done correctly. No advice, no shortcuts, just a closer look at the system most people are living inside and the subtle trade-offs it creates. The household is unremarkable by design. One adult, mid-30s, living in a medium-cost city. Not New York, not rural. After tax, monthly income lands around $4,200, or roughly the same in euros or pounds, adjusted for local costs. Rent is $1,450. Utilities average $220. Internet and phone add another $110. Transportation is modest, a used car with a payment of $310. Fuel and maintenance average $180. There is student debt, not extreme, about $28,000 remaining. Monthly payment, $340. There is also a credit card balance that never fully disappears, $4,800 carried forward. Minimum payment plus a little extra, $190. Subscriptions exist, quietly. Streaming services, cloud storage, music, a gym membership that gets used just enough to justify keeping it. Food is careful but not frugal, $520 a month, occasional takeout on tired evenings. There is no luxury here, no designer labels, no impulsive spending. And still, at the end of the month, what remains is thin, about $180 if everything goes smoothly. That leftover amount usually goes toward extra debt payments, because that is what responsible people do. Every financial article, every podcast, every well-meaning conversation reinforces the same idea. Debt is risk. Debt is stress. Debt is something to eliminate as fast as possible. So the household complies. Raises go to debt. Bonuses go to debt. Tax refunds go to debt. Savings exist, technically, a few $1,000s, not enough to feel safe, too much to feel desperate. Life continues. Years pass, and despite effort, discipline, and consistency, nothing feels easier.
Here is where the pattern becomes visible. The system quietly rewards visible progress, not structural strength. Debt balances are visible. They go down in clean, measurable ways. Cash buffers are invisible. Optionality is invisible. Time flexibility doesn't show up in an app. So behavior gets nudged toward what can be tracked. Paying off debt feels productive because it produces certainty. One less bill, one less number. But the system rarely asks what is being given up in exchange. Every extra dollar sent to debt is a dollar that cannot absorb volatility. Volatility is not dramatic. It's a dental bill, a job transition, a sick child, a car repair. Without margin, those moments turn into new debt. The household is not reckless. It is compliant. It follows the rules as presented, and those rules assume stable income, predictable expenses, and uninterrupted employment. Real life does not. The pattern repeats quietly. Debt gets paid down, liquidity stays low, stress remains. And because the debt number is shrinking, the discomfort feels irrational, even though it is structural. This is not a personal failure. It is a design issue. A system that prioritizes liability reduction over resilience creates households that look disciplined but feel fragile. Let's stay inside this household. An extra $400 per month is sent toward debt beyond minimums. That is $4,800 per year. Over 10 years, that is $48,000 directed toward past consumption. Now consider the alternative reality. Not advice, just comparison. If even half of that amount had gone into accessible cash or low volatility reserves, the household would have built a buffer of $24,000. That buffer changes behavior. It reduces reliance on credit. It reduces panic decisions. It reduces forced timing. Instead, the household remains dependent on income arriving exactly on schedule. The interest saved on debt exists, but it is smaller than people expect. Meanwhile, the opportunity cost compounds quietly. The math is not dramatic, it is cumulative, and it explains why progress can feel stalled even while balances fall. Humans are social and contextual. We normalize what others around us normalize. If everyone is paying down debt aggressively, not doing so feels irresponsible, even dangerous. There is also identity at play. Being good with money becomes tied to visible sacrifice, to discipline, to restriction. Liquidity, by contrast, looks like temptation. So people choose certainty over flexibility. Not because they are ignorant, but because the system rewards that choice emotionally. This is not weakness, it is adaptation. Nothing collapses, life just stays narrow. Job changes become harder, time off feels risky, opportunities get filtered through fear. The household survives, but does not expand. Not financially ruined, just quietly constrained. Financial calm is not about elimination, it is about spacing. Margin between obligations and income, time between decisions and consequences. Calm households prioritize optionality over optimization. They accept some inefficiency in exchange for resilience. They are not debt-free faster, they are less fragile sooner. Paying off debt is not wrong, but context matters. When debt reduction comes at the expense of flexibility, it can quietly increase financial stress, not reduce it. This video is not financial advice. It is an observation. Sometimes progress is not about removing obligations. It is about creating space. And space, unlike debt balances, is something you feel long before you can measure it. If this helped clarify things, consider subscribing.